Welcome back guys. Lossless scaling application is a universal frame generator built using machine learning that works on any GPU, whether it's from Intel, Nvidia or AMD. It does not matter. It sells for around $7 on Steam store. It has just received a major update in the form of version 2. This is the update log. Enhanced architecture for processing large scale movements, enabling efficient usage at lower frame rates. Hence the minimum recommended base frame rates are 30 or 40 for Full HD or 1440p resolutions respectively, with 60 fps and higher recommended for an optimal experience. My LS display supports up to 120Hz refresh rate, so I'll just cap the fps to 60 using RTSS. When it comes to any frame generation technique, you want the base fps to be as high as possible. AMD itself recommends using their AFMF technique with games that are already running at least 60 fps. Higher the base fps, less the graphical artifacts. It's as simple as that. Moving on to the next feature, noticeable reduction of common artifacts such as motion ghosting, edge distortion and image blurring. In cases where artifacts persist, it is advisable to increase the base frame rate. A game running at a minimum of 60 fps should give you a decent experience. GPU load has increased by 1.5 to 2 times depending on the resolution. Therefore, a new performance mode has been added to preserve the performance of the previous version. It retains all the main advantages of the quality version and surpasses the LSFG version 1.1 all at the same speed. I won't be using it on Rog Ally, but if your PC has a weaker GPU, you can try using it. Launch the application. Selected LSFG from the drop down bar under frame generation. There's the newly added performance setting. I have disabled it. Clip cursor setting enabled. Not using any upscaling technique. Off. Draw FPS setting enable, capture API set to DXGI. Already covered these APIs. That's it. Click on settings here. Make sure start as administrator setting is enabled. Hotkey for enabling LSFG, Control Alt and S. I'll kick things off with The Witcher 3 Steam version. We'll be using a 25 watts manual profile for all of the games. All three power values set at 25 watts. 720p resolution, CPU boost disabled. I have set the UMA buffer size to 6GB. My Ally is running on BIOS version 337. Install the latest stable GPU drive from AMD Adrenalin version 24.4.1. Connected my GuliKit KK3 Max gamepad to Ally via 2.4 GHz band wireless mode. DirectX 12 version. Enhanced edition. Using a custom afterburner overlay to show you the performance metrics. Adrenalin settings for Witcher 3. FreeSync enabled, VSync disabled, anti-lag setting enabled. Show you the in-game settings. Using the high preset, FSR2 upscaler enabled using its quality preset. Blur disabled. Everything set to high. Display settings. Display mode set to borderless window, 720p resolution. In-game VSync disabled. Applied a 60 fps cap using RTSS. Just set frame limit to 60. LSFG will try to double the performance. Target 120 fps. There's Geralt. I'm at the entrance of Novigrad. Lot of non-playable characters here. Very good for testing. Without using LSFG, FPS is around 50 to 55. We are hitting the GPU bottleneck. VRAM usage is around 3.7 GB. Check out the input response. FPS. Nothing by pressing the B key, jump by pressing the A key. I intend to switch controller layout. I'll just enable LSFG now. Pause the game, press Ctrl Alt and S keys together. There you go. LSFG's FPS counter. The application comes with a small performance hit. Base FPS dropped down to around 44. Previously we were getting around 50 FPS. FPS with frame generation on is around 87. Okay, I can observe the added amount of smoothness. Also observing some minor input lag. Camera has become floaty. I'm not sure how to explain it. you can play the game. Let's just say input lag is manageable. It's definitely working. Camera motion is smooth now. Smoother than before. Exploring the town on foot. 75 to 87 FPS. Here base FPS dropped down to around 40. Not observing any graphical artifacts. When I move the camera in complete circles, frame generation does not get disabled. Okay, I just observed some minor flickering around Geralt's head. Nothing extreme. You can definitely play the game with LSFG. Off to a good start. I wanted to jump. Now I'll be testing the next game. Fallout 4 Next Gen. Game settings, 720p resolution, anti-aliasing set to TA. I'll just use the high preset, borderless mode. Go to advanced. Set chord raise to low. Motion blur disable. Depth of field to standard. That's it. I load the Boston area, known for its performance issues. Adrenaline settings for the game: FreeSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable, RSI enable, resolution upscale from 720p to full HD. My location: I am standing right next to Boston Public Library. APU power draw is around 17 watts. This is the game running without LSFG. FPS is around 50. Yeah, it dropped down to around 37. Performance issues: we are not hitting the GPU bottleneck. This area FPS is very variable. So 40 to 50 FPS. I'll just enable LSFG now. Got enabled. App is trying to double the FPS. Base FPS is around 35 to 40. I can observe the added amount of smoothness. It's definitely working in this game. Not observing any graphical artifacts. Good to see. Go this way, looking for some mutants. Input delay is not an issue. Input delay was a bit higher in Witcher 3, not sure why. Here it's completely manageable. Gunshots. Good performance in Fallout 4. You can even play this game in first person mode. I think I need to press the select button. Yeah. वेरिएबल FPS है. Game is just poorly optimized. Now I'll be testing the next title. Days Gone. This game still does not work properly with LSFG. Adrenaline settings for the game: FreeSync and VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable, RSI enable, upscale resolution from 720p to full HD. 720p resolution, display mode set to full screen windowed, in-game VSync disabled. I have set shadow quality, texture filter quality and texture streaming quality to high. Rest of the settings are set to medium. We are in. There's a character. Here FPS is around 55. Mute. Game runs very nicely on Ally without using any frame generation technique. I have already tested it. 90% GPU load. Big open area. It's raining. Just enable LSFG. Game will be running in a slow motion state, as you can see. Not sure how to fix this issue. If anyone knows, do let me know in the comment section. Game is running like a slideshow. Just disable LSFG, then it will run properly, just like this. Now I'll be running a very popular title, Dragon's Dogma 2. Unfortunately on PC platform this game is still very poorly optimized. Adrenaline settings for the game: FreeSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable, that's it. 720p resolution, display mode set to borderless window. In-game VSync disable, FSR 3 upscaler enabled using its balance preset. All effects disabled. Minimum to medium settings. Make sure shadow cache setting is enabled, it will help in improving the performance. Estimated VRAM usage 4.9 GB. We are in. I have 2 pawns in my team. FPS is around 30. Lot of non-playable characters in this settlement. Sprinting around. FPS dropped down to around 28. We just saw Witcher 3 run so nicely in Novigrad with so many non-playable characters. Game still needs more optimization patches. 26 FPS. VRAM usage is around 5.5 GB. GPU load around 85%. I'll just enable LSFG now. Let's see how it works. Okay, I can observe the added amount of smoothness, but I'm also observing some graphical artifacts. Character model is flickering, very easily noticeable. Base FPS is around 27, so graphical artifacts are expected as explained by the developer of this application. I'll just leave this place. I am observing some artifacts around the bottom edge of the display when I move the camera. So this game still has average performance on Rog Ally. Wild swing. Now I'll be testing the next game. No rest for the wicked. This game just received a major update a few days ago. It improved the game's performance. Adrenaline settings: FreeSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable, RSI enable, resolution upscale from 720p to Full HD. Now I show you the game settings. I'll be using the performance mode. Render scale set to 85%, motion blur disabled, dynamic resolution scaling disabled as well. This game is still very demanding on the hardware. 720p resolution. Just set the display mode to full screen window, otherwise LSFG will not work. We are in. Here FPS is around 45 to 50. Sprinting, not observing any micro stuttering. I tested the game on launch day. Lot of hitching was present. Not using LSFG, I'll just enable it now. Okay, here FPS dropped down to around 39 to 50 FPS. FPS with frame generation increased up to 80. Okay, I can observe the added amount of smoothness. Sprinting animation is looking smoother now with LSFG enabled. Not observing any graphical artifacts. Play the game from the bird's eye view. I'll engage in combat. This game is a Souls-like action RPG game. I have already cleared the area. My bad. No one's alive. Almost died there. Now I'll be testing the next game. Now I'll be running Cyberpunk 2077. Adrenaline settings: FreeSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable, video settings 720p resolution, display mode set to windowed borderless, in-game VSync disable. Basically using the low preset, XCSS upscaler quality preset, texture quality set to medium. Quickly scroll down, motion blur disable, low to medium settings. That's it. I'm standing right outside V's apartment. Here we're getting around 55 to 60 FPS. Check out the input response. CPU is the limiting factor. GPU load is around 75%. 48 FPS there. I'll just enable LSFG now. It got enabled. Check out the input response. I can definitely observe the added amount of smoothness. Camera motion is smoother now with LSFG enabled. FPS is around 100. It's not as good as the real 100 FPS. Still better than the game running without LSFG at around 50 FPS. Just engage in combat. Not observing any graphical artifacts. Cleared the area. Steal the vehicle. Drive around.
All nearby units. We got a situation in Watson. Roger, dispatch. What else is new? We'll be right
Good
there.
to see LSFG improving by leaps and bounds.
Has been located. Details have been sent.
No graphical artifacts around the vehicle. We have seen some graphical artifacts when using FSR3 frame generation in this game. Game's interface is not flickering as well. I'll be testing the next game. Now I'll be running Baldur's Gate 3, very popular title. For this game I've shown how to use PureTalk's FSR3 frame generation mod. Just select DirectX 11 here. I'll straight away load the third act, lower city area. Adrenaline settings, FreeSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable. That's it. Video settings, borderless window display mode, 720p resolution, in-game VSync disabled, FSR 2.2 set to quality. I'm basically using the low preset. Jump into the game. We are in, playing as Karlach. I'll enter the tavern, lot of non-playable characters here. We're getting a variable FPS 36 to 43. CPU is the limiting factor. GPU load is around 70%. VRAM usage 5.7 GB. I'll just enable LSFG. You can see the sluggish movement. Switch to gamepad. Okay, FPS increased up to 80 with frame generation enabled. You can definitely observe some added amount of smoothness when moving the camera around. Camera sensitivity is on the lower side in this game. LSFG definitely works. Not bad at all. But the base FPS is on the lower side, 30. Not observing any graphical artifacts. Character models are rendered properly. No flickering going on. HUD elements are also not flickering. An explosion, I beg your pardon, an explosion is about to occur. There you go. FPS dropped down to around 25. I'll be testing the next title. I'll be running Marvel Spider-Man. Earlier versions of LSFG exhibited a lot of graphical artifacts in this title. 720p resolution. Display mode set to full screen. FSR 2.1 enable using its quality preset. VSync disabled using the medium preset. Motion blur strength set to nil. Adrenaline settings. VSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable. That's it. There's Spiderman swinging around the city. Here FPS is around 60. That's really good to see. Game is very nicely optimized. You can even use FSR3 frame generation mods in this game. Already shown you the process. Now I'll just enable LSFG. Got enable. Oh my god, game is running so fast. Smooth like butter. FPS increase up to 110. Check out the input response. Okay, I am observing some minor graphical artifacts around Spidey's character model. His head is flickering. Some ghosting around his suit. It's observable when you move the camera in complete circles. Not observable when you move the camera at a normal speed, just like this. Interface is not flickering. You can definitely use LSFG in this game. Now I'll be running Resident Evil 4. Adrenaline settings for the game. VSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable. Graphics settings 720p resolution. I am using prioritized graphics preset with motion blur disabled. Display mode set to window. FSR 2 enable using its quality preset. There's Leon. I'll be fighting against a horde of villagers. Here FPS is around 53. Check out the input response. Moving the camera in complete circle. 53 to 60 FPS. Sprinting. I'll enable LSFG. Game should be running in full screen mode. There you go. Oh my god, what happened to Leon's neck? Got twisted in a very weird way. Okay, I can observe the added amount of smoothness. Again, LSFG is definitely working in this game. Oh my god, got stabbed. FPS with frame generation enabled around 93. Good results in this game. Engage in combat. Use my knife. Input delay is not an issue. I missed the quick time prompt. Not sure what happened. Oh, it was a bear trap. Very smooth experience. Dr. Salvador will appear soon. So many villagers. Yeah, base FPS dropped down to around 43. Still, it's a smooth experience. LSFG works nicely even when the base FPS drops down to around 40. All thanks to this new update. There's Dr. Salvador and I'll be testing the next game. A very demanding title, Alan Wake Part 2. It's the Epic Games version of the game. Adrenaline settings, VSync enable, VSync disable, anti-lag setting enable. In-game graphics, display mode set to borderless, FSR 2 enable, using its quality preset, 720p resolution, VSync disable. Motion blur and film gain disable. Low to medium settings. Ray tracing disabled. There's Alan Wake. I'm in the dark place. Poor visibility here. It will be very difficult to observe the graphical artifacts produced by LSFG. This is the game running without it. FPS is around 36 to 40. Oh my god. Shadow lunged at me. FPS dropped down to around 30 there for about a second. I'll just enable LSFG now. Ignite the flare. You can definitely observe the added amount of smoothness. 60 FPS. Again, not observing any graphical artifacts. I think Alan Wake's head is flickering. Very difficult to observe it. So dark. Need to purge the darkness in order to do any damage. There you go. What was that? Can observe the sluggish performance here. Right, now I'll be testing the next game. Just set UMA buffer size to auto. Restart. We'll be running Horizon Forbidden West. Forbidden West in-game settings. 720p resolution, XeSS upscaler using its quality preset, VSync disabled. Using the low preset, motion blur strength set to nil. In this game, just make sure window mode is set to full screen, otherwise LSFG will not work. I'll be fighting against some bristlebacks in this query. FPS here is around 40. 700 everyone. Shoot the acidic canister. Do some elemental damage. That creature just exploded. I'll just enable LSFG now. 37 to 40 FPS without it. Got enabled. Yeah, I can observe the added amount of smoothness. LSFG is definitely working. I'm observing some graphical artifacts. Aloy's character model is flickering. Oh my god. Almost died there. Slow down. It seems the icons on the compass are also flickering. I died. Time to conclude the video. Good to see LSFG improving at a rapid rate. I did observe some added amount of smoothness even in games that were running within an FPS range of 30 to 40. Didn't produce much graphical artifacts, all thanks to this latest update version 2. Looking forward to seeing more such updates in the future. That's it with the video guys. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.